Hello, welcome to your college algebra class from Weatherford College. I'm Linda Prevette and I'm going to be your instructor. The entire course is going to be delivered through Canvas, which you're in right now if you're watching this video. So I'm going to just share screen so we can go over there and see how it's going to look, how it's going to work, kind of what's to be expected. Okay, so basically when you open Canvas, it should look like this for you. You're watching this video right here. Here's my contact information, and mostly we'll probably just email, but if there's anything that can't be handled through the email, right, you can send me a request and we can jump on a Zoom at any time and work out any issues we're having. Now, after you watch this video, the first thing you should do is send me a photo of yourself holding your state or college issued ID. So I need to clearly see your face and clearly see your picture and your name on your ID. If you're concerned about, your address or any personal information, you can cover that up. But I need to see your face in the photo, face on the ID, name on the ID, and then send that to me. Try to do that as soon as possible, at least sometime today, because you will be blocked from taking any exams until I get that photo. Okay, so you can also just read through here down this home page. There's some general information, but mostly what you always want to do is go in your modules. Right here is your modules. Now you've got some other options here. If you need information on the library or anything like that, you can go up to the campus and get some face-to-face tutoring at our Academic Support Center. Or if you prefer to do online tutoring, you have access to tutoring 24/7 at tutor.com, which the college pays for you. And of course, feel free to email me, get with me with any issues you're having. That's what I'm here for. And I try to keep a close eye on my email so I can respond fairly promptly to you. Okay, there will be 4 proctored chapter exams and a final exam. And once we go into the modules and look at how the course is going to work, we'll also see how that's going to work. So you can read the rest of the information down here, kind of view that. But once again, all your content is here in modules. So if you go in your modules, notice there's just a lot of stuff in here. Okay, so you might find this collapse all a handy tool to make it just a little bit more manageable. Collapse all. Okay, in the first module, it's all your course documents. Here is your course outline. Be sure you read this document, the course outline. It's got some general information about the course in it. Okay, and this is a really important document. It's your assignment schedule. It's a tentative assignment schedule, but this is a summer course, and it does not go twice as fast as a regular length course. It goes nearly 4 times as fast. It is going to fly. So it's really, really important that you keep up with these dates. So these are just suggested dates that you could work on your assignments to make sure that you have time to get it all in. What I suggest that you do, though, is work ahead anytime you can. You can always work ahead, but you have specific due dates that have to be adhered to. So for example, today you're expected to actually complete the homework 1.3 and 1.4, tomorrow 1.5 and 1.6, Wednesday 1.6 and 1.7, on and on and on, right? It's doubling up, and it's every day you need to work in this course. Notice the homework due dates are all due on Sunday. However, you cannot wait till the weekend and expect to be able to complete all of this homework. The exception to homework due dates being due on Sunday is these that fall right before the test. If there's a test in the middle of the week, right, then you've got to complete that homework before the test day. So also be aware of that. Your test are going to come basically every week. Notice your first test is next Tuesday, right? In 1 week, and then another one the next week, and another one the next week. Okay, and then notice that last week you've got a test on Monday, final exam on Tuesday. Just boom, boom. Okay, so you've got to keep on top of that. Your test dates do not show up on the homepage of Canvas. On the homepage of Canvas, you'll have a little running screen over here of, you know, what's coming due. Tests do not show up in that. You have to keep on top of that yourself. So here's where you can see those. You can also see that over in the calendar. If you click on the calendar, those test dates will be loaded in there also. Okay, so now with the homework, it is possible to still work on the homework after the due date. With the test, it is not possible. There are no makeup tests. On the homework, if you miss a due date, you can still work on that homework, and you very well should, because for one thing, you need that practice before you take an exam. But also, it's just going to give you a 10% late penalty, and it's way better to have a 90 than a 0 for not doing it at all. Test, however, if you miss a test, you've got a 0. Okay, so keep up with those test dates. One safety net to that is if you do miss a test, or really if you just have a very low test grade and you do better on your final exam, the final exam can replace one missing or low test grade. Okay. All right. So the schedule is really, really important. Okay, and then you can read through the rest of the stuff, you know, just some general information in here in this getting started module. This is the master syllabus. You can look at that if you want, but there's really nothing in there for you. It's just the college required document, in which mostly what's required from the state. Calculator procedure information also. There's no calculator allowed in this course, so it doesn't really apply. There are 2 sections in chapter 4 at the very end of the course where you'll have to use a calculator on some of the problems in your homework, but there are no calculators allowed on any exams, including the final exam. Okay, so documents. After you have familiarized yourself with how the course is going to work, then we'll talk about this here in just a minute. Then here's what will happen. Notice this is test 1, lecture, videos, and homework. So you will open this, you will watch this video, and then do the associated homework. Watch this video, do the associated homework. This is really a minimum of what you're supposed to do today, okay? I just lost my train of thought. Well, okay, yeah, the video is equivalent to going to class. So basically you go to class, you go home, do your homework, you go to class, you go home, do your homework, right? Class, homework, video, homework. And you do that all week, preferably as quickly as you can. And then at the last one, there's going to be a test coming up the next day. Remember, this is due Monday, test due Tuesday. Okay, if you would like some hard copies of notes, I also have that in the next module. So here's some notes if you prefer to use those. These are just kind of for your own personal use to go along with the video if you need that. So physical copies of the notes. Here, right before your first test, you can find the test review module. So here's a review. If you work all of these problems, and you can check yourself and make sure you're doing them right. These are the same types of problems you should expect to see on the final. So you should be able to work this and make a pretty good grade. And you can expect to make a pretty good grade on the test. If you work this and you don't make a very good grade, you're probably not going to make a very good grade on the test. Okay, then when you get to the test, it's administered through HonorLock. It's really confusing for most people the first time they try to use HonorLock. So I should suggest that well in advance, at least the day before. You go in here and work through these sections till you actually get to the test, just to make sure that you can access it. Notice this is grayed out. That's because you have to go through this first, and then you have to go through this, then you have to go through this. You must complete these steps. This is the instructions of what to expect and how HonorLock works and how to get it to insert the password and stuff like that. Then you have to complete this honor statement, which means you agree to abide by the rules of HonorLock. For example, you're not going to use a calculator. Of course, you're not going to cheat. You can't wear a hat. There can't be people in the room. They're going to do a 360-degree survey of your room, you know, things like that. And you've got to agree to that. And if you agree to that, and then you are found to have broken any of those conditions, you'll fail, right? Okay, and then there's the actual HonorLock test. The HonorLock, it's not the test, sorry, the HonorLock program. And you go to the test and you go back to HonorLock and it will insert the password for you. You take the test. Now, when you are finished with the test, that is not your test grade that MyLab shows you. This is inside the MyLabs program, just like all of your homework. So when you're finished, it's going to pop up and show you your score. Okay, that is not your test grade. Your test grade comes from this. You will have 30 minutes to submit this paperwork, which is why there is a practice one up here. So again, well before you are taking the exam, try to see if you know how to, the proper procedure to submit your scratch work. You can send anything, a picture of, you know, the problems you're working on, a note. It doesn't really matter, a blank sheet of paper. You just have to be able to take a photo or a scan of your document, your scratch work for your test, and upload it into Canvas. It needs to be a PDF or a JPG. Do not use other formats. Even though I have a Mac, there's a weird EMC something extension that my computer will not open. So it has to be PDF or JPG. Okay, so what you're going to do when you are taking the test is on a piece of paper, you're going to write all your steps, just as if you were taking the test on a paper pencil. And then you're going to upload that. If you do not upload the scratch work, you make a 0 on the test. It doesn't matter what, excuse me. It doesn't matter what MyLab says you made, right? If you upload scratch work, but there are problems that you didn't do any work for, you will not get any points for those problems. On the other hand, problems that MyLab's just counted completely wrong, you know, you may get most of those points accredited to you because let's just say somewhere in your work, maybe you missed a sign, you misadded, mismultiplied, you know, that's just a point. But if you had the process right, and I can see from your work, that's what's being graded, your work, not the actual answers, just plug in MyLabs. So your test scores come 100% from this piece of paper being uploaded. Okay, and then after you take the first test, it starts all over again, right? Watch a video, do the homework, watch a video, do the homework. Keep on track of those due dates, particularly test dates. I encourage you again to work ahead. Okay. Now, down here, there's test 4 and then the final exam. So basically that's the end of the course. But down here at the bottom is just some extra stuff in case you're interested in it. For example, this one that says MyLab Math. Okay. Oh, it'll get you right into the Pearson website without having to go through the homework problems. Up here, all you can go in is do your homework. But here, if you want to do some extra stuff, if you want to take some extra quizzes and tests inside the program, or do work in the study plan, or look at the textbook, right? You have all of that down here, okay? The hard copy of the textbook is not required that you purchase it. Okay, once you buy, what you have to purchase is the code to the MyLabs program. Once you have that, you have an electronic version of the textbook if you ever want to look at that. There's also some other things like right here, multimedia library, where they do some videos and PowerPoint. So if you just feel like you need some extra tutoring, that's here. The videos, however, are also directly right here inside your Canvas class so that you don't have to go through the MyLabs to get to them. So if you've watched my 1.3 video and worked on the homework, and you're like, I'm still a little confused, maybe you could come down here and watch their video. The problem with these videos is there is not sufficient information on them to hold up on their own. There's just an example or two, a couple of examples, and it may not cover the entirety of the content that you're going to be tested on. So be sure you watch my video for basically the class. If you need something extra, you can look down here. Okay, let's talk about how the homework's going to work then. All right. So I've watched the video and now I'm going to do my homework. Okay, the very first time that you sign in, I've already had access to this, so it doesn't do that for me, but it will ask you before this comes up, the first time, it will ask you to either enter your access code or you can buy it right here. It's much cheaper to buy it inside the course than to buy it at the bookstore or anywhere else. Beware of buying the code online. I've had multiple students buy an online code only to get it, and it's been previously used. And because they purchased it online, they don't have any recourse. So be aware of that. If you need to purchase the code, try to do it at the bookstore. But if you have access to a credit card, you can do it right inside here, and it's much cheaper. Okay. Also, you've got three options. It'll say enter the code, pay now, pay later. If you choose pay later, it's going to give you 3 weeks of free, 2 weeks of free access. And so that's really handy if you can't quite afford it yet, but you need to start this coursework today. If you do not have your code yet, you do that and start the coursework today. And you don't have much time to lollygag around. Okay, if you choose that method, be careful, because you cannot, after you get the code, manually put it in. You'll just have to wait for about 2 weeks later for it to pop up and say, okay, you've got to enter the code now before you can continue. Your free trial is up. So be aware of that. Okay, and then after that first time, every time you click on the homework, it'll just open just like this right here inside your course. Let me try to look at a problem maybe that's okay. So then here's how it works. You'll just go from problem to problem and you'll enter your answer in here. Let's say I think this answer is 6. Oh, it's incorrect. It gives me a little hint. Okay, and I can do it again and again. It will give you 3 tries on each question. And then on the third try, it's finally just going to count it wrong, okay, and tell you what the correct answer was. But notice you have an option for similar question. If you're serious about learning this content, you'll choose similar question. Okay, look at the question. And look, it brought up a very similar question, and it'll let me try it again. So let's see if I can figure out what this is. And then voila, I got it correct this time. Okay, and so let's look up here. Well, Let's look up here. And on that question, it has counted it correct for me. Okay, so once again, you have multiple times to work a problem. But with that being said, if you've tried to work that problem 3, 4, 5 times and you're still not getting it, that's probably an indicator that you need to stop and go back and review, go get some tutoring, something. Okay, you have a little bit, sorry, of help in here. These buttons down here, help me solve this. You can click that and it'll bring up this exact problem and it'll give you some hints and it'll help you work it out step by step, you know, and on so that you can see the process of solving it. And then once you've gone through the steps, it'll bring up another similar problem for you to actually solve for your homework. If you want to work this actual problem, you can do view an example. And look, it brings up a very similar problem and it'll work you through that one, right? Help you with the process and then take you back to actually answer your homework question. This one right here, okay, look, it'll take you to look in a textbook. Sometimes there will be a video where it'll show you or a PowerPoint. But the main thing about this button is this Ask My Instructor, okay? Notice it will bring up a text box for you to ask me your question. Tell me what problem you're having. Don't just send me a blank thing with a question, right? But it will send me the exact question you are working on and show me your question. So if you have a question for me, use this. Do not get on the email and type a question. Oh, number 11 on 1.3, I'm confused. Everybody's number 11 is different. Okay, so use this and I can see exactly what you're working on and maybe what your problem is, and we can clear up any issues. The problem with that is, the only problem with that is that goes to my email. So I have to read my email before I can answer it. And my answer will go to your email. So you have to read your email before you get the answer. So it's not immediate like these other two buttons, but it's still really useful. And I try to keep a close eye on my email. Okay, let's see. I think that probably covers everything, you know, the basics. If you have any questions about anything or need help with anything, let me know. That's what I'm here for, right? Just shoot me an email and we can go from there. Don't forget, when you finish watching this thing, to send me the picture of you holding your ID, and welcome aboard. I look forward to working with you guys.